You're on mute, Alex.
Hey, Ellen, thanks for having me on.
Hey, good morning. Hi, thanks for joining us. So before we start your awesome presentation, maybe you could tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you came to build the Giving Block.
Yeah, so the quick background before I get started is basically kind of your classic entrepreneurial story of seeing a problem and then deciding to create a solution. So back when I started trading cryptocurrency in 2016 and 2017, started seeing people post online, on Reddit, on Twitter, different social media platforms saying, I'm trying to donate Bitcoin, but I can't find more than like 3 charities in the world that know how to accept it. So I had kind of a light bulb moment with one of my good friends from college who was working at a nonprofit at the time. And basically, for lack of a better way of putting it, I was the crypto guy, he was the nonprofit guy. We joined forces to create the Giving Block, and fast forward to now, and we're working with hundreds of nonprofits, everything from your small and local charities to some of the biggest in the world, like United Way Worldwide.
Awesome, thanks. So before you start the presentation, sorry, there's one more thing. We wanted to do a poll just to learn more about the audience who has joined us today. So I'm going to launch the poll. And, if people in the audience, if you could just join us and give some answers to the 2 questions that we have, we will really appreciate it. So I'm just going to leave these up for about a couple more seconds. Alex, you can see this. Can you see it on your end as well? You can see the
Yep,
question.
I answered too.
Okay. Okay, so we are almost there, 71%, 75. Let's see. 82%, 89% completed. Okay, we have 3 people who have not given their responses, but we are going to move on in the interest of time. So I'm going to end the poll, and I'm just going to share the results so everyone can see. Can you see it, Alex, the results?
Yep, I can see it.
So yeah, so most of we have half of the audience today who are, I would say beginners, and another half intermediate. The experts, I want to know, the one expert, I want to know who you are. So reach out to me. And then in terms of interest in accepting cryptocurrencies, I think half of the people in the audience are still on the fence, maybe because they don't really know what it entails. 35% yes. So thank you so much. I'm going to stop this. And all right, Alex, are you ready to take over?
All right. Yep, I'll take over and start sharing my screen.
Okay.
Is that coming through all right?
Yes, looks great. Thanks.
Awesome. So, all right. So thanks for joining everyone today. We'll keep this pretty casual. I'm going to go over some basics about accepting crypto. A quick agenda here. You already got the quick intro about myself and my company. I'm one of the 2 co-founders of the Giving Block. And really, all we do is make it simple for nonprofits to accept crypto donations. We don't do anything else. That's all we're focused on. So we'll start today with a really quick crypto 101, so you get a basic understanding. Then we'll talk through basically how to accept crypto donations. And the last piece is, of course, how to actually fundraise crypto once you're set up to accept it. So quick overview of the company. I mentioned some of this already, but we've really become the go-to place to get set up to accept crypto. We're working with 99% of the nonprofits out there that accept crypto. A lot of logos you might recognize, like United Way, American Cancer, Save the Children, Children International. And then we also work really closely with most of the big companies in the cryptocurrency industry. So for that reason, we've also become the place that people come to look for nonprofits that accept crypto. So, we're not just setting up organizations with a way to accept crypto, but we're actually helping get them in front of potential donors. And we've launched campaigns like Bitcoin Tuesday, which is Giving Tuesday for cryptocurrency. We have the Crypto Giving Pledge for leaders in cryptocurrency to pledge a portion of their wealth to charitable causes. But, that's just a high-level overview. We can always, dive deeper into any of those topics if you want at the end. So kind of a couple core things that we do is, for nonprofits, we're focused on getting you all set up in a really easy way to accept crypto. For donors, same thing. We want to make it as easy as possible for them to donate. And then for partners, we help add crypto donation functionality. So just wanted to give that really quick overview of kind of the 3 different pieces that we'll touch on. And, feel free to also check out our website, thegivingblock.com, if you ever want to submit questions or anything like that. But we're going to start with Crypto 101, go through the basics. Everyone always asks, what is crypto? Or people Google it and they get some ridiculous like dictionary definition that doesn't really help them at all. And what I always tell people is, don't get too in the weeds of the technical side of things. You don't need to understand how the Bitcoin network functions in the background. You should really focus on the key features, the functionality, and sort of how to interact with it. It's the same thing with the laptop you're using right now. You don't necessarily know how your laptop was built or how it's running right now, but you know how to use it, and it makes your life a whole lot easier and lets you do things that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So if we think about crypto versus, let's say the US dollar, there's a handful of key sort of attributes that make it unique. One really cool thing about it is, for example, I could send money anywhere in the world and it would get there in a matter of minutes. So I'm on the East Coast in the US, I could send money to, let's say, Hong Kong as an example. I could send $100 million worth of Bitcoin to a friend in Hong Kong. It would cost me probably $2, and it would arrive in, a couple of minutes. So compared to most ways of sending money, it's incredibly cheap and quick. So it's often used internationally. And the cool thing about it is because it's so global and traded internationally, you don't have to worry about, converting US dollars to euros or yen or any other type of currency. Bitcoin is traded globally, so you don't have to worry about that kind of exchange. One reason it's gotten really popular, especially in the last year, is because it can't be counterfeited and there's a fixed supply. So if we use Bitcoin as an example, there's only ever going to be 21 million coins in circulation. So someone can't just wake up tomorrow and say, I actually think there should be 22 million. The 21 million number is fixed. So, people started getting, I would say, more than usual. They're worried about inflation in the last year with a lot of the stimulus packages, which of course the government had to print quite a bit of money to be able to pay for those. So, about 25% of the US money supply has been created in the last year. So you can imagine that's causing some concerns for people. So a lot of people are viewing Bitcoin as sort of a digital gold. It's a hedge against inflation and a store of value. So a lot of people always think, Bitcoin's a fad or it's not going to last very long. Bitcoin's been around for, over 10 years now, and it's already grown to be a huge, huge asset class. Bitcoin already has more users than most popular apps that you think of for transactions like Cash App, Venmo, Google Pay, Zelle. Bitcoin has significantly more users. In the data we have from last fall, there's about 100 million Bitcoin users around the world. That number is doubling every year. So the number is likely already quite a bit higher than 100 million. And you'll see, the size of the Bitcoin market is bigger than most companies too. And if you look over here on the left here, if you had bought $100 of Bitcoin in the last, 10 years ago, essentially, this is how much money you'd have in each of these investments. So with Bitcoin, $100 would have turned into $9.2 million. You can see how much less it is if you bought these kind of traditional tech stocks. So there's a lot of people who have made a lot of money investing in cryptocurrency and now want to be able to donate that cryptocurrency. So it's by far the best performing asset in the last 10 years. So, it's here to stay. It's getting a lot more mainstream attention and adoption from, huge companies like Facebook and PayPal. So now we'll move on kind of to the nonprofit specific side of things, why people are donating crypto, why are nonprofits accepting crypto? And the main reason is it's kind of the perfect asset for donors. There's pros and cons of each type of donation usually, but crypto really checks the box on both the tax incentive and also the ease of use, which is really unique. With a stock donation, until recently, it wasn't really very easy to donate stocks, usually just for high net worth donors, but great tax incentive. With crypto, you've got the same tax incentive as a stock donation. So no capital gains tax for the donor, fair market value deduction, and of course the nonprofit doesn't pay any tax, but also crypto transactions are incredibly easy and quick, often even faster than, let's say, a credit card donation. So it's kind of, the easiest way and the most tax efficient way to donate. And on top of that, you're seeing that a lot of the crypto users are on the younger side. So often these donors end up being brand new donors for the nonprofits we're working with, because from what we're hearing from the donors is that they're only donating crypto. These aren't your donors that are mailing you a check or, you know, using a credit card or some other form to make a donation. These are people that are only donating in crypto. And if they don't see crypto as an option on your website, they're going somewhere else and donating that crypto to somewhere that does accept it. Because they don't want to have to sell the crypto, pay 30% in taxes, and then donate a lot less money. You know, another interesting thing we're seeing is the average gift size is pretty significant for crypto. Among our clients, it's about $1,300 on average. So, you know, it doesn't take many gifts to get quite a good outcome. I think I touched on some of these numbers, so we can probably go through this slide pretty quickly, but you know, there's over 100 million users and over $2 trillion worth of crypto sort of as a market cap figure. So it's, you know, don't mean to be repetitive, but you know, it's the easiest and most tax incentivized way to give, which is why it's caught on so quickly, and why, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars a year now are being donated in crypto. So next section will be how to fundraise crypto. So, you know, it's one thing to accept crypto, but if you're not talking about it in the right way or talking about it in the right places, you know, the outcomes can be limited. So you really want to have a couple core considerations. One is relatively straightforward, is, you know, essentially, are you going to hold the crypto donations you get and keep them as an investment, or do you want them automatically sold for US dollars? In the case of our clients, we offer both. You know, it's probably not surprising to hear that 90% of our clients opt for that automatic conversion feature, so they don't have to worry about it or think about it. They get US dollars and they can use it like they normally would for their everyday operations. The other piece is, you know, do you want this to be sort of a passive or active fundraising strategy for your nonprofit? You know, do you just want to be open to crypto donations in case a donor stumbles across your website, or do you actually want to go out and try to attract new donors that, you know, wouldn't have come to your website otherwise, for example? And then this last piece is, you know, how are you going to message this to potential donors? We always joke that, you know, please don't write Bitcoin as 2 words anytime you're posting about crypto donations, because you'll scare away all the donors. There's a lot of nuance and sort of crypto slang or crypto lingo that we help people with, so you can really talk the talk and at least make it seem like you know what you're talking about. You know, here's a couple kind of misconceptions that we get a lot from clients. One, which is really common, comes up almost every time, as well, you know, our donors don't use Bitcoin. You know, they're mostly older, they're mailing us checks. And that's great, but those aren't the donors you're targeting with this. You're really targeting younger donors who end up being mostly new donors. So most of our clients are really pleasantly surprised. And I think it usually beats their expectations in terms of how many donations they end up getting, and especially how many of those end up being completely new donors. This other one's on a related kind of topic. You know, they say something along the lines of, no one's really ever offered a Bitcoin donation before. And, you know, it's pretty rare that a donor will actually reach out and ask if you accept Bitcoin if it's not clearly on your website. They're just going to go somewhere else and they're going to donate, or they're going to Google donate Bitcoin and find a nonprofit that does accept Bitcoin. The other piece is, you know, some say it doesn't fit our brand, you know, it doesn't fit in. There's a screenshot of an example over here on the right of Save the Children. You don't need to change your brand. This can work in parallel with your existing digital marketing strategies. This isn't like a brand takeover or anything like that. You can see in this example, it's just making their audience aware that, you know, they accept crypto and they're participating in Bitcoin Tuesday. There's no really change in mission or brand or anything like that. It's just weaving it into your existing messaging. Quick case study, one of our clients is American Cancer Society. They've really gone all out when it comes to fundraising crypto. They've even launched what they're calling the Crypto Cancer Fund. So they're putting together a fund with the goal of raising $1 million in crypto to fund cancer research. You know, this tweet you see here a screenshot of just a couple weeks ago, we added support for Dogecoin donations. So we support about 50 different cryptocurrencies, Dogecoin being one of them. And when they tweeted this out, this was one of their best performing tweets ever. So you can see here at the time of the screenshot, it was, you know, just shy of 12,000. I think it's more like 15,000 likes at this point. it was really amazing how much attention it got. So a lot of our clients are also seeing the marketing benefit of accepting crypto beyond just the kind of day-to-day fundraising outcomes. And you can see they got some great press on it. CoinDesk is one of the largest cryptocurrency media outlets. And over here on the left, you can see their donate crypto page for the Cancer Crypto Fund with the donation widget down here. This last piece in terms of fundraising is just some general best practices. We really think about crypto donors in sort of 3 different funnels. The first is your existing donors. You know, some of your donors probably have crypto and you don't even realize it. So the key way to capture them is donors that are already coming to your page. You want to capture them and make them aware that you can accept crypto. Often, although it's a little bit more rare for existing donors to be giving crypto, is when they find out they can give crypto, they end up donating more because of the tax benefit, often 20 or 30% more because it's so much more tax efficient. So they often end up being major donors, even though they were donating, you know, maybe significantly less on their credit card every month. The second piece is our donors. So our fundraising platform has really become the go-to place for people to donate crypto. So we're doing a lot of work in the background, getting all of the groups we work with in front of the crypto community. So we work with most of the major companies, the media outlets. You know, we even launched things like the Crypto Giving Pledge. We have Bitcoin Tuesday, I think I mentioned earlier. So we're creating this funnel onto our donation platform, which aggregates all of the causes we work with. And, you know, donors arrive there and they choose a cause that resonates with them. The last piece is the more general crypto users. So these are the people that maybe haven't donated yet. We don't necessarily have a relationship with them yet, but we're going out and writing op-eds for crypto media outlets explaining why people should donate crypto, explaining the tax benefits. Or we're partnering with a company to put a donate crypto button or banner on their cryptocurrency exchange or wallet to make donating crypto more top of mind. These are the sort of active efforts we're doing in the end, but in the end, you know, all 3 of these things kind of contribute to these different ways that you can fundraise cryptocurrency. So I'll do a really quick demo and actually run through how the donation widget works. Let me just switch screens here real quick. So I'm going to jump over to this screen real quick. If you come to our page, you'll see there's kind of 2 different paths, one for nonprofits, one for donors. But if you click this donate button, it'll take you to our fundraising platform. Here we aggregate all the causes we work with. You can search them by name, you can filter them by category, but this is the platform we really positioned as the place you come to find nonprofits that accept crypto. So all of these different cards of the nonprofits down here, these are actually generated in a random order each time you come to the page. So everyone's got an equal shot of, you know, showing up at the top here. And you'll see all sorts of different types of causes. Some you might recognize, some you might not. But, you know, really, really wide range. And at this point, we're working with hundreds of different causes. You know, everything from kind of your more traditional charities to churches and other faith-based groups, schools even. We work with a lot of universities. So we've really positioned this as a place that anyone can come and find some sort of cause that really resonates with them. If we want to just use an example here, let's pick one that everyone probably recognizes, like we can use, let's see, American Cancer, since we used them as an example earlier. So every nonprofit we work with has a profile like this set up. You know, information about the mission, information about the tax benefits. Over on the right is a donation widget. Really great thing about the donation widget is we wanted this to be really sort of easy to implement. So we made it as an iframe, so I can show you what it looks like on their website. But because it's an iframe, it's basically a copy and paste onto your fundraising pages. So typically you set up, you know, under more ways to give or other ways to give, a donate cryptocurrency page. So you'll see the same widget here as on our website. And the interesting thing is, you know, about 80% of the donation volume is actually coming through our website instead of our client's website. So we can track donations that come through our website versus our client's website. And because of our efforts, you know, getting everyone in front of the crypto community, it's pretty amazing that we've seen about 80% come through our website. And really quick, I'll just run through the basic functionality before jumping back over to the presentation, but you can donate Bitcoin, Ethereum, a bunch of other cryptocurrencies, even Dogecoin, like I mentioned. Let's say you want to donate 0.25 Bitcoin though. The widget's going to show you the real-time US dollar value. Donor would click continue. It's going to ask for some basic info, name, email, and address. In the case of American Cancer Society, they've chosen to accept anonymous donations, but that's totally up to you. You can turn that off and require donor info if you want. But if someone does donate anonymously, it's going to, prompt them to enter an email at least for a tax receipt. So, 99% of people at least are going to put in an email so they can get in touch about a tax receipt. Then the way this works on the back end is the system's automatically going to pull the donation data as soon as it goes through and email to the donor. So your nonprofit doesn't have to worry about manually emailing that information over. And then on the back end for you as a nonprofit, we have the feature that allows you to have all your donations automatically converted to US dollars. And you can basically link up a bank account, which all the funds would be transferred over to once they're converted. So that's a really quick run through, but I'll jump back over now to the slides. Oh, actually, I guess that was the last one. So I know we have a couple questions that have come in, but if anyone wants to just go ahead and get a, kind of a one-on-one walkthrough or demo, you can feel free to go to our website and book a demo there too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. Okay, let's go through some questions that we got from the audience. A lot of questions coming in. So I think the first one, you answered that. I think you kind of mentioned it, but he or she's asking, our nonprofit wants to hold. Does Giving Block allow us to take our donated Bitcoin without cashing it out?
Yep, that's totally up to you. You can do it either way. I would say about 90% of our clients opt for the automatic conversion, and the other 10% or so are opting to hold it. So yes, you can do that.
Awesome. I like this question from Angela. She's asking, can you talk about the energy consumption of crypto? That would be the likely reason why her organization, which is an environmental organization, would not accept crypto.
Yeah, it's a great question. That one comes up a lot, especially recently with some of the headlines in the press. In general, I think it's really misleading because yes, Bitcoin and crypto does consume a lot of energy, but the question a lot of people aren't asking is how is that energy being created for Bitcoin mining? Most estimates show that over 70% of Bitcoin and crypto mining is actually using renewables. So I think it's important to take into account how that energy is being created for the Bitcoin mining. Often this is like hydro-powered in the middle of nowhere. So this isn't, using kind of the typical grid energy that you think it would. So a lot of environmental groups that we actually work with see this as a way to actually incentivize more renewable energy use. So it's actually almost the opposite of what some people, think it is, but happy to also send over some materials on that afterwards.
Awesome. Okay, so JP's asking, it's a great question as well. What are the fees and how do they break down? Is it percentage charge on total donation, cost to sell?
Yeah, so pretty traditional fundraising model in the sense that we have different packages you can choose from. There's kind of two standardized packages and then a custom package for a lot of our larger clients. But the standard ones are, the basic one is $2,500 and the premium is $5,000 a year. The key difference between the two is basically how much hands-on marketing support do you want from us. With the cheaper package, it's going to be a little bit more generic and templates and examples of how to do the marketing. Whereas with the premium, you're basically paying more to get one-on-one time with us to talk through strategies, review content, edit content, almost like paying for some extra consulting on how to do all that stuff. And then there's also transaction fees as well, but that's mostly based on donation volume, so that's variable.
So I think just to add on that point by Alex, if you are interested in leveraging the Giving Block, please reach out to me because I know Alex and his team, they're open to actually giving a group discount. So we're just trying to see how many nonprofits might be interested, so that we can go in together on this project.
Yep.
JP had another question. Can you buy crypto on the platform? And if yes, at what cost?
So for personal use, no, but if you as an organization wants to invest in cryptocurrency, similar to what some of these other companies have done, putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet, that's something we can help you with and talk you through as well.
Great. Again, adding to that point, we do have resources. So if your organization is not familiar with how to set up things like a wallet and so on, we do have resources that will be able to help you. So just reach out to us and then we can walk through that process with you. Angela had another question. What is the IRS required language for acknowledging donation of crypto?
Yeah, so it's relatively similar to how you would acknowledge a gift of stock, equities. We have sort of an IRS compliant pre-formatted tax receipt that we just update with each organization's information. So those would actually get sent out automatically and you don't have to worry about it. But very similar in the sense that it's going to have your organization name, address, EIN, date and time of the donation, the amount of the donation, a copy of the blockchain transaction ID, all the information the donor would need to get that tax write-off.
Awesome. I'm going to jump into chat because I think some people put there. So please put your questions in through Q&A because if not, we will miss it. The first question in chat is, do you actually need a license for this service of assisting with the transaction?
We've actually partnered with a company called Gemini that runs the back end. So they handle kind of the compliance side of the regulatory framework for each state and even country that they operate in. So for the Giving Block, no, but for Gemini, our partner, yes.
Great. And yeah, Gemini is a participating company in the DCIL, just so that everybody knows. Jonathan had a question as well. We have many subsidiary nonprofits under one tax ID. Can we set up multiple organizations or brands with the same FEIN?
Yeah, so we have a way to do sub-accounting. So you can have basically a different widget with a different name and logo for each one under the same EIN. And there's even separate reporting. But from a compliance onboarding perspective, you only have to onboard, the sponsor organization. But we can add as many as you need to on the other ones.
Awesome. Ryan had a question for you. I think it's similar to the one before. Are there fees for nonprofits on the platform?
Just no additional fees from the ones that I mentioned earlier. That includes everything.
Okay. So Ryan, if you're interested, reach out to me and then we can have a deeper conversation on this. Okay. So live. Ryan had a second question. Is the Giving Block part of the DCIL? No, but I think the company that powers them, Gemini, is. Anything else you want to add to that, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it, right? We're not, but our partner Gemini is.
Okay. Christine, what is the cost to have our, I believe MP stands for nonprofit, on your site? So maybe just do a quick, run through again.
Yeah, so there's two different packages. There's the basic for $2,500, and there's the premium for $5,000 a year. Those are the two standardized packages. And the key difference between them is basically the level of marketing support you're looking for. If you want something custom with a lot more services, we have the option to create a custom package too.
Okay, I think I mentioned this before. So we understand that costs can be a deterrent and we're trying to figure it out for you guys, and Alex and his team are open to discussing that as well. So, if you are interested, if your nonprofit's interested, reach out to me and, we can figure out how to make it work for you. Someone else wrote in a question. Do you work with 501c6 nonprofits, which are not tax write-offs for donors, or only 501c3?
So right now our focus is really just on 501c3s, but in the future we might add support for C6s, but just not right now.
Okay. Ryan had a question about fees. Can the fees be passed along to donors?
At the moment, no. Crypto is pretty unique in the sense that all crypto transactions are what I consider a push transaction instead of a pull transaction. So there'd be no way of actually having the donor cover the fees unless they manually did that on their end. So for now, there's not really an easy way of doing that.
Okay. Before we go on to the rest of the questions, I actually forgot, but I wanted to mention that, we really value a lot of feedback from, all of you, especially the nonprofits as well, because it's, crypto for fundraising is very new to us in the DCIL. So if possible, we would love to work with you closely and also with Alex's team to figure out what works for you. And if you get on board on this journey, what are some of the lessons learned and implications? So we actually have a survey link that we're going to leave in chat. And if you could complete that survey for us, it would be super helpful. So you'll see in chat really shortly. Okay, sorry, back to the questions. Kevin is asking, what kind of donation volume are current charities seeing?
Yeah, so it's increasing dramatically every month. We're seeing millions of dollars donated every single month. The average donation size is about 13, getting closer to $1,400. So pretty significant average donation size. And I know last year, I think our charities raised an average of 30 or 35,000 in their first year, but the averages this year are looking much higher. So I don't have any numbers for this year yet, but I think it'll be higher than that for 2021.
Awesome. Gregory, he says that he's interested in the giving block. Should I sign up on the website for a demo?
Yeah, feel free to go on that demo link and just sign up there.
Okay, great. Andrew's asking, with the price of Bitcoin volatile and shifting by the hour, how quickly does the giving block determine the value of Bitcoin once the donor approves the gift?
So we don't actually determine the value. It's just for the nonprofit, you're selling it for whatever the current market price is. So it's being sold for the current market rate. A unique thing about crypto is that the markets are open 24/7. So even if you got a donation at 2 a.m., it would still sell for whatever the current market rate is since it's being traded 24/7. So we're not determining the value, but the market is. And for the donor, for their tax purposes, the IRS guidance states that basically they are supposed to determine the fair market value at time of donation. That's what their deduction is worth. And if they're using tax software like TaxBit, for example, it's automatically going to calculate that for them when they put in their transactions.
Awesome. I think there are two questions asking to speak with somebody at HTDC Hawaii or DCIL, which will be me. So I'll leave my contact in chat and feel free to reach out to me, for any additional support or questions. Let's go on to Brian's question. Brian is asking, for nonprofits embarking on this endeavor, namely private educational institutions, what has been the bigger barrier to that success?
For educational institutions, I would say the biggest one is taking very long time to get set up or not getting set up at all. I would say higher ed is a bit further behind traditional nonprofits in terms of adopting this so far. But the nonprofits, the schools that we have started working with have seen really great results already. So an interesting thing with the demographics of a school is, the ideal or kind of the kind of usual crypto user is the demographic of your recent graduate. So a lot of millennials and Gen Zs. So this is a really great way for schools to target those recent graduates and start building a relationship with them with crypto.
Awesome. Ryan is also asking, what cryptocurrencies are supported? I know you have a list of it, but what maybe also to add to that, what are the popular ones that you're seeing people use?
Yeah, so we support about 15 right now. By the end of the week, it'll actually be 40. Key thing to remember about this is, converting from one crypto to another is actually a taxable event. So you want to give donors a bit of flexibility in terms of which cryptos they can donate. And Bitcoin and Ether are by far the two most popular. Between them, that's probably making up for 90% of the donation volume every month. And some of the other ones where we see some decent donation volume too is DAI, Litecoin, Zcash, and then the other ones, Dogecoin has been really popular in the last month. And then most of the others are a little more sporadic.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The next question, for nonprofits that have elected to sell their donations for USD, does the nonprofit get to decide when to sell within the giving block, or is it always immediate after the donation?
If you have automatic conversion on, it's always going to be immediate. You can turn off automatic conversion and then turn it back on, I don't know, a week later or a month later, whenever you were thinking about selling, if you wanted to do that too, or you could just manually sell it if you're holding your donations.
Okay. Ryan has another good question. What are the tax implications if nonprofits convert to crypto later instead of immediately?
So I can't give any accounting or tax advice, but for the nonprofit, I think the way you report this and account for it changes if it's something you hold for more than 3 years. There's a certain rule around that I would look into, but I don't know the specific guidance on it, and I'm not a CPA.
I mean, do you actually see a trend among your nonprofits with regards to this, like how long they would hold it for, or is it different depending on the nonprofit?
So we're certainly seeing a lot more nonprofits hold on to it, more and more all the time. So it's trending in that direction. But the ones that are holding on to it are usually, you know, they haven't sold it yet. You know, we've only been around for a few years, so they're planning to hold this often for, you know, let's say 5 years or longer. So we haven't seen the selling part of it yet.
Awesome. JP had a question about fees. So do you charge the same fees for all types of crypto?
Yep, it's the same for all of them.
Okay, great. Ryan had another question. Do the donors get immediate tax benefit if the nonprofits do not convert to USD immediately? Or how is that handled for donors?
Yep, doesn't change anything for the donor at all. Either way, they're getting the fair market value at the time of the donation. It doesn't matter what the nonprofit does with it.
Sure. Brian had another question. One of the keys with giving is to build the habit of giving. Does the giving block allow for monthly giving, annual giving, something that's automatic and time-based? Great question.
So not something that's automatic in the traditional sort of recurring gift type of way, because with crypto, everything is a push transaction. So the donor has to authorize a transaction every time. And that's actually a feature, not a bug of cryptocurrency, because it gives you a lot more control over your financials, basically. So we don't have a way of doing it automatically, but we have things like our crypto giving pledge, for example, which encourages and reminds donors to make a gift at least once a year, especially towards the end of the year. And then we're working on other sorts of like email reminders to make another gift, but nothing that's truly automatic like it is with a credit card.
Sure. Angela, we'll get to your question because I think he showed it earlier, but we'll get to it again. Let's go on to Lisa's one for now. Also similar to what you talked to before, Alex. So she's asking, there have been a number of articles lately about carbon footprint of the actual production of cryptocurrency. Can you speak to that?
So yeah, really quick. And I guess a new point that I didn't mention last time is, you know, cryptocurrencies are actually a lot more green than the traditional financial system. When you compare it to banks, central banks, gold, it's significantly more energy efficient. And in general, the estimates are that, you know, about 70% of cryptocurrency mining is actually done using renewables. You know, this is often hydropowered, kind of in the middle of nowhere. So it's not, you know, pulling power from somewhere else. It's being produced just for this reason. So it's not quite as gloomy as some of the headlines make it sound.
Awesome. Okay, Jonathan had a question. Will you ever offer a more affordable service to receive crypto with your widget without the marketing consulting support?
Yes, but I don't know when yet. So it's definitely a goal of ours to get there. One thing is just we're working on making everything a bit more automated and scalable. But once we get to that point, right now, one of the reasons we offer the services this way is because the way we're set up, everything requires a lot of hands-on work. So every nonprofit we onboard is still a lot of, you know, effort on our side, regardless of whether or not you want the marketing piece or not.
Got it. So Jonathan, I mean, if there's interest, reach out to me and then we will figure it out, you know, together to see how we might be able to get you on the giving block. Okay, so to Angela's question, I think it's a great recap. Maybe Alex, she's asking, what does the link or widget look like on the nonprofits page? I know you showed the American Cancer one, but maybe you want to pull it up again if possible.
Yep, I can pull it up again. And I can also, hold on, I'll put the link in the chat too, just so everyone has it.
Sure.
And then I'll share my screen here. So this is American Cancer's page under More Ways to Give. So if we go back a step, we can go to More Ways to Give on their website. You'll see all these different ways you can give. And then there's this button here, Donate with Cryptocurrency. And you'll see this page with that same widget here. And they list which cryptocurrencies they accept. They have some other information down here. There's also a link to the Crypto Cancer Fund, or sorry, the Cancer Crypto Fund that I mentioned earlier. Where you can see this page as well with more information. They even have naming rights for anyone who donates more than $250,000, other types of benefits like that.
So I think I had a question on my end. Assuming if a nonprofit's interested and they want to, you know, get onboarded, how long does this process take?
Yeah, so we're a bit backed up right now. As you can imagine, there's a lot of nonprofits trying to onboard all at once right now. So I would budget from the time you start working with us until the time things go live, about 2 weeks.
Okay, great. I don't see any other questions in chat, so I'm just going to ask another one that I had. So for nonprofits who are thinking of going into crypto, how would they know they're ready? I don't know if that even makes sense as a question, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I would say, one easy way is kind of based on your size. So usually we prefer to work with organizations that have at least 1 million in revenue a year. Because usually at that size and scale, you have a pretty good fundraising strategy, you've got things figured out, and it's relatively easy for your team to just weave in some crypto messaging and content into what you're already doing. Organizations smaller than that, we typically don't work with unless there's like a really specific reason. So that's one way. The other way is simply if you feel like you want to diversify your revenue and you want to connect with younger donors. Beyond just the fundraising outcome, that's the number one reason we hear from nonprofits all the time. Like, we have to find a way to connect more with younger donors, and this is one of their favorite ways of doing that.
Got it. We had two more questions that just came in. How big is the nonprofit crypto space? Are there other companies like the Giving Block offering this service?
Yeah, so there's hundreds of millions of dollars being donated a year in crypto. So the space itself is pretty big, but I would say it's a relatively new space in the sense that, we're probably working with, 90-some% of the nonprofits out there that are accepting crypto. There's not really, I would say, an apples to apples comparison to what we're doing. There are general sort of crypto payment processing solutions for like e-commerce stores and for-profit businesses, but ours is really the only one that's focused on the nonprofit space, has the fundraising platform, and also has the marketing tools. So it's pretty unique in that regard.
Okay. Another question, would love to hear about the amounts being donated to small nonprofits, not the big organizations like American Cancer.
Yeah, if we're sending out a follow-up email, I can send over a couple case studies of smaller organizations. For example, Children's Heart Unit Fund is a children's hospital, about $1 million a year in revenue. They've gotten, I think, over or close to $200,000 in crypto donations in their first year. She's the First is another organization that I would say is in the, a handful of millions in revenue a year. And they've also raised, I think, close to 6 figures at this point. So it's interesting, even though I always use, some of these big organizations as an example, the majority of groups on our platform are actually smaller and sort of mid-sized organizations that are doing, I would say, like, 1 to 5 million a year in revenue. But the big ones always stand out, of course.
Okay. Gregory had a question. Can you speak to the digital security aspect of working with the Giving Block? There have been stories of wallets being hacked, stolen. What safeguards have been placed on your product to prevent theft?
Yeah, so that's a good question and comes up a lot too. So we work with Gemini on the back end. They pride themselves on being sort of a security first built organization where, for example, all accounts are going to have 2-factor, everything's going to be encrypted. Even when it comes to sort of, data security and compliance and processes, they're SOC 1 and SOC 2 compliant, which is really important. So those are the sorts of things we have in place. And the other thing is, even if someone did miraculously get into your account, we have safeguards in place so that people couldn't take money out of it. You can only put money in, but you can't take it out.
Got it. You might have spoken about this, but let's reiterate a point. Brian, he's asking, as a web developer, if a client site wants to support someone like the American Cancer Society, can we embed their iframe or is it domain locked? Likewise, the pledge for the crypto pledge.
Yep, so the iframes are not domain locked. You could add those to any fundraising pages you wanted. So it's not domain locked. And for the crypto giving pledge, there's not really anything to embed for that. It's more of like something that people sign off on and say, yes, I'm going to take the pledge and I'm going to donate 1% of the company's revenue to charity every year, but nothing to embed. Okay.
So Brian, thanks, Brian. He says, awesome. Thank you for answering all questions. I'm not seeing any other questions come in. I think, maybe our attendees need some time to kind of digest what you just shared. So there might be more questions coming in later, through email or something. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions you might have, or you can reach out to Alex directly as well. But, just kind of, to wrap it up, Alex, what, any last words, final words that, you would like to leave our audience with?
I guess just the last thing would be, starting to accept crypto with us is a lot easier than you probably think. We've really made it simple, so it's not as complicated as you might think it is, and you don't need to be tech savvy to understand it or use the service.
Okay, I had one more question. Just you mean I was a nonprofit. So if you onboard them this time around for their first year, does the fee or get cheaper for the second year? I mean the service fee or something.
No, it's the same every year, and the services are recurring too, of course.
Got it. All right. So I'm just gonna do one last call out for questions. If not, we will wrap up this session. I also want to remind everybody that it has been recorded. So once the recording's ready, we will share it in the post-event email that's sent out to everyone. And also feel free to. Oops. Okay. So Ryan just sent in another question. Okay, the last one from Ryan. So Ryan's asking, if nonprofits choose to auto-convert, are funds automatically deposited via ACH into their bank accounts, or does it go through Gemini regardless?
So it's technically going through Gemini, but from Gemini, it's going via ACH or wire to your bank account.
Okay.
That makes sense, hopefully.
Ryan, I hope we answered your question on that. All right. So again, thank you so much, Alex, for your time today. And I hope everyone in the audience learned as much as I have personally. So again, there is, as you all know, there's a cost involved for using this platform. But if you even have the slightest interest, please reach out to me, and then we'll figure it out how to actually get you on board if possible. My email again, I'm going to leave it in the link in the chat box. So feel free to reach out and we can chat further. Thank you so much, Alex, for your time, and really excited to see if we'll be able to work with you on this.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me on, and have a good rest of the day, everyone.
Thank you so much. If you enjoyed the session today, I would also encourage everyone to follow us on social. We are on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, to get more updates on future events, crypto events specifically. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Great. Bye.